Lord Niemann opens with the king pawn against his arch nemesis Magnus Carlsen. There's no love lost between these two. They're battling in Title Tuesday, online cheese tournament. The fans love it. Mr. Kramnik loves to critique it, and the players love to win it. One of these guys goes on to take the whole tournament. This is a fascinating game. Magnus keeping it solid here in this online chess battle. No Sicilian, no Caro-Kann, no weird stuff. Hans goes for his Italian stallion. He loves this opening right now. Looks great with a Ferrari. Now we see these standard opening moves. And does Magnus go bishop e7? No. The force is strong with this one. He's here to fight. We see castles played and h3. Takes control of g4. Gives that king a bit of Lufthansa. d6, c3. It's standard Guild Mariner theory. We've seen these moves many times. Hans takes some serious space. And after Magnus drops back, preempting this move, we see it played before Magnus can do anything. The elongated bathtub here. This bishop chilling with his rubber ducky, and knight e7 rotating around, freeing the c-pawn, and Hans expands. He wants to take over Magnus's land, so the latter commands that pony maneuvers into g6, cover the central pawn here, and after bishop d3, we've got to ask ourselves, why has that move been played? No clue. It looked great there. I guess you overprotect the center. This is some deep stuff. It's the top engine line. Magnus develops the cannon. This knight hits the game now, and we get this pawn push, preparing to potentially push with d5 one day. Bishop c2. Hans whispers, stack my bishop. Now we see queen c7 and knight f1 going on the epic maneuver. By the way, completely forgot to say at the start, if you want to learn to play like these incredible players, have a look at the Remote Chess Academy. Link is in the description. A phenomenal whopping 80% off many of the courses right now. The super bundles going at a ridiculous price, and there's the road to 2000. Really good stuff on there. Get on over. It ends pretty much today, tomorrow, I forget. It's a Father's Day special, comes around twice a year. Incredible courses. Back to this game here. Magnus now pushes with that a pawn. Doesn't want Hans to have it all his own way. He takes, queen recaptures, and he hits this backward c pawn, and it's not defended, even though bishop d2 is the preferred move of Stock Squid. We see knight g3, goading Magnus to take the pawn, and there's no clear and obvious follow-up. Okay, the queen's a bit offside, but it does find squares. It's not quite trapped. You get a bit of an initiative with white, but there's nothing clear cut. It's a clean pawn for black. Some reason it wasn't played. Is this the Hans Niemann effect on Magnus Carlsen? Because he now plays bishop e6, and now the pawn can be covered. X-ray attacked that queen there, so it retreats back to c7. This rook activates on the half open file. Magnus centralizes, X-rays the lady, and so Hans sidesteps and hints at crashing through on the h6 pawn. Magnus doesn't want any part of it, so covers in a prophylactic way. This bishop just improves slightly. Rook a8. It's very nudgy, cagey stuff from both players. This is a bit of a draw offer here. After rook a8, does Magnus want a threefold with Hans? Well, Hans Niemann doesn't want it. He plays queen b2. I mean, you've got to love the fighting spirit of the young man. Loves to play Magnus. He's hitting his backwards pawn here, so it's covered with rook e7 like this. Rook, this one comes to the center. Forgot which one I was going to say. And now we get queen a5, and it's given the question mark. Kinda harsh though. What the all-powerful engine wants is this. And of course, that is a monster. Very difficult to live with. Rook d7 is actually the best move, but never nice having one looming over the position. So taking natural, but then the knight's kicked. Backwards is best, and then this is the follow-up. You take this pressure on the center here by taking the pawn, and you actually crash through. If this one takes, I forgot the line. Okay, queen a3 hits the rook. If back, do you still take? Why is that working? Okay, these tactics are crazy. The knight's now loose because the rook left it. No one finds this stuff, so this wasn't played. Usually that's a bad change in structure, so queen a3 instead. Now these ones double. Magnus wants to rook roll hands, bishop d2 played, the queen retreats once more. And now when the bishop bounces back, Magnus bounces back. He's desperate for the draw here. Still Niemann doesn't want it. He plays rook c1 once more. Love the fighting spirit, but after king g8, it goes a step too far. Because what should you play here? Well, just some kind of holding move once more. Rook b1. You could play queen b4, offer a change of structure, but Niemann plays the blunder. Queen takes on d6, and the big problem here is that the queen is getting trapped. You do have a route back, right? So rook d7 not working, but c5 is excellent. Not played. We're in analysis mode here. If you'd have done this, there's just no good way to stop this rook d7 coming. You can play this to cover the square, but then bishop b8 anyway. Multiple ways to embarrass that queen. So that was the way to go, but Magnus takes this pawn, swapping the prisoners, taking control of these squares as well, and now preparing rook d7. But here there's a subtle difference. You can now play takes on e5, and after rook d7, as seen in the game, you're getting a lot of compensation with this move. Bishop takes on a7, because yes, the queen drops, pawn recaptures, but we get this fascinating situation once more, where you've got rook, minor, and pawn for the queen. Technical material balance. We've seen this in a couple of their games recently. I'll link one at the end. Great battles. Knight e5 from Magnus, and what's the best way to play here? It's knight takes. Niemann considers it. I was watching his stream live on his new site endgame.ai, right? But he didn't play it. Something put him off. This was how to go, then just protect the pawn, and importantly, the bishop can start bouncing. This sort of thing. White's marginally better apparently, but we come back. That wasn't played. Knight d4 instead. And the problem now is that after queen a5, this bishop's perilously short of squares, and the knight of course standing in the way. So what to do? Well, takes on e6 gives the bishop a path back, but you don't have to take. And in fact, if rook takes, you can go bishop b8 and sit in on this square here, supported by the pawn. So this was played by Magnus. Great understanding. Now the rook saves itself, and it's pressure on Niemann as he defends the pawn, runs into g6, which stops some knight hops, so knight e2 and queen c5 is a great activation. So difficult to coordinate now, low on time. The pawn's attacked twice, so bishop b1 opens the attack on the queen. Bishop b3 technically better, but Hans Niemann playing with seconds, he hits two pawns and now he just goes for it, roars like a mighty chess lion, but he opens up this checking square. Now this is a lovely line, check. And the idea is, after king f1, let's say, if you go this way, still problems, but we'll cover this line, you can sack a knight just to gain access to these dark squared mating attacks. You have to start running, but here's a sample. You can crash through now with check, take off the rooks, lop off the knight, black's doing great. So we run back, that was the move, but missed. Magnus actually retreats, and it allows now rook c3. Hans whispers, do you even rook cliff, bro? He's in incredible shape right now. We see the queen go, hit the rook which is unprotected, so bishop c2, but queen a7, Magnus shoots that check from afar like many top players do, king f1, and a seahorse is spawned, pressuring the centre. It's great chess. Niemann pushes the pawn, sets up a wonderful connect 3, only goes and unlocks himself dinner with Danny Wrench, romantic, wine, what a lucky guy. The knight's about to drop, but Magnus does not move it. He plays the move. Knight c to e4, such a cool idea, not only hitting the rook, but threatening checkmate in one. Which is why you don't have to time to take here. It's why you don't have time to, I don't know, do something funky with the rook. So rook f3 escapes the attack, covers the mating square, and still Magnus doesn't move this one. He plays queen a2. going for the bishop, trying to goad this move, takes, so that the knight can recapture. Fair play to Niemann, he doesn't do it. He plays knight d4, seeing Magnus's idea, keeping it complicated, and Magnus does make a mistake here. What should he play? Well, knight takes on d6 is actually best, because this one was hanging, and so was this one, which is why you couldn't just move it, or the bishop was going to take here. So this is the best kind of kamikaze move. Let's say takes here, there's rook takes, and there's still lots of tactical problems, all sorts going on. So that was the best, but instead we see queen c4 check, king g1. Now knight takes on d6, but it allows Niemann this incredible resource. Bishop b3, not played, but if it was, this is how the line goes. I mean, who's finding this? This is absolutely nuts. But you attack the rook, and you set up discoveries, and you're still hitting the knight. This is apparently an equality. We won't start going down all the lines, but one of the best is this, and this sort of thing, you lose a rook. So let's run back here, no bishop b3, instead the simple pawn recaptures, but now Magnus takes with the rook, and life is tough, because this guy is in jail. Poor thing. We now see bishop b3, the queen comes onto the dark squares, and x-rays, plus hits this one twice. Now we see the rook cover, but queen b6 hits the knight, and how about this? A knight in the corner. Is there anything forlorner? Horrible square, it's completely trapped. Hans goes for this desperado of knight takes on c6, but there's a problem with the whole tactic. You just simply take the knight and you come away from this attack. So check is played. King g7, king h1, great fighting spirit here, lovely tactics from Magnus. Yes, he loses a rook, but he gains it right back. Still the knight is hit. Now it does get extricated, lovely jubbly, but the pressure's still on. Kasparov once said, just keep attacking the enemy pieces, eventually they'll crack. Especially low on time here, right? Kasparov never said that, but I just added that bit. Knight d5 defends the pawn, hits the queen, so queen d2, and finally Niemann cracks like an egg. He plays king h2, and the knight simply drops. But we run back here, even if it saved the knight, I don't know, say what, knight b4 or something, this knight's taking, threatening mate, and then you have to give up an exchange anyway. Hopelessly lost, queen against two minor pieces. This was the actual final position though, and Magnus went on to win the tournament with 10.5 out of 11. He took a draw in the last round, otherwise could have just swept the whole thing. Hope you enjoyed, and have a look at the video on screen in case you missed the last incredible battle between Niemann and Carlsen. Thanks for watching and see you soon. Cheers.